It's been a long week for me. Long week in a set of long weeks in a set of long months. And I was been really thinking about this idea of opening myself up to everything that is asking to be born inside of me right now. I think often with things like grief, with things like chronic illness, with things like navigating living in the United States, with anything difficult, there can be, for me, I sense a kind of like hesitation in really letting myself sit with heartbreak in that kind of all encompassing way, to let myself feel my grief as big as it wants to be, and to create conditions that allow me to be safe enough to allow me to let myself do that. And I think for me, that safety is often born and reborn within community, within settings like this, within spaces where I'm able to breathe with people, to slow down, and to really get the chance to check in and to ask myself, even if I don't feel completely safe, I can start to dream, I think, in these settings. If I were safe, what would I want for myself? How could I build that into my life even before I get to that safety part, right? And so, in this idea of rebirth and spring and embodiment, and really letting my sense of self be expansive, I was sitting in a jail cell over the weekend and had the kind of very real life practice of, okay, I am with just me, and all I can do is sit here and be with myself. There's not even a fake distraction to have, and it's very quiet, silent, middle of the night, middle of nowhere, Wisconsin. And at first I was just telling myself to calm down, which was helpful. I was trying to ground and trying to not let myself become too anxious, too hyper vigilant, things like that, which I think were good. They created some kind of safety within my regulatory system, within my nervous system. But then I kind of kept going along that track. And I was thinking, let's not be sad until this is figured out. Let's figure out all the logistics. Let's get me out. Let's figure out what I need to. And then I can feel what I need to feel, the heft of this, right? I didn't want to fall apart. But kind of just sitting there, it didn't feel, it felt like violence to myself. And I didn't have the space for any more violence that night, for any other part of me to have to shut down or to not be able to really give birth to what it wanted to in that moment, experience the freedom that it wanted, even my grief. And so instead of trying to put things away like I am used to doing, I kind of am very good at packaging it up for later and thinking that it'll not grow or change while I leave it in the closet, right? And so instead of that, I just, honestly, I was too tired to do anything else, but I just accepted, I'm going to feel whatever this process looks like from here on out. And it's okay if I stop and I have to restart. I'm going to try to feel my grief and greet it and let it live with my joy instead of alternating the times that I let them both thrive, or picking specific times to tend to just one or just the other. Even though one might be needing more than the other, I still want to tend to all of the different experiences that my body is having right now, that my mind and my community is having right now. My community of me and myself and my memories and all the people who I am able to be with when I'm just by myself, and the physical people that are also going through this with me in different places. And I was just kind of overcome in a couple moments with this idea that it's all being born right now. The peace that I want to make in the world, even in this cell, is being born. My friends I know are in the car on the way coming to another state in the middle of the night to get me. The ways of being in the world are being created not in a silver lining way that I'm glad I got arrested so that my friends could help me out, right? That can happen in any circumstance, but in the just realistic way that our community is engaging in radical acts of love, even in that moment when I feel so alone and grievous or enraged or afraid. That is part of the revolution. Me allowing myself to be vulnerable, to make the call, to ask for help, to let all of this painful part of myself, to acknowledge it so that I can let it heal and have a place to rest and really seek more community, I think is so much of the like abolition starts at home for me. That's that kind of idea distills into that. When I need help, can I ask for it? And can I let myself know how much help I need? Can I really say, this is what I need, and I am opening myself up to accepting all of what I deserve, not just what I wish I had, right? Do I really believe that every person deserves to be safe? Does that include me? Is my sense of self kind of taking me out of the care that I think everybody else deserves because of that like ego, that division, that kind of barrier we put, those walls that we put for safety for a lot of reasons, but that keep us separate, right? And I apologize if this is a little abstract. I'm not doing my best thinking, but I think through that kind of dissolution of self, through imagining myself into that horizon, through sitting in the cell and seeing myself as the wind, as the ocean, as my friends. I wasn't kind of a just a victim of circumstance, right? I'm also the hero in that story. I see myself as my friends. I see myself as the person in the cell. I see myself as the community coming together. All of that love is what we are creating and what is giving birth to itself over and over again and creating these more loving conditions within systems and without systems of oppression, right? Creating this dreaming capacity where something bad can happen to me or something difficult can arise, and I'm not alone without help, without hope. I'm grounded in my connection through the honesty of knowing my needs and the needs of those around me, and the peace that we all deserve, and really fighting for that. And so, as we close out this day, uh, afternoon for some of you, kind of evening for some of the others, I hope we could get a chance during this hour or during whatever comes next for you to really ground in that sense of rebirth, whatever that meant to you today or whatever it means to you later. When the grief comes, how can we really let it come as fresh and alive, as new lessons, as new connection, as new grounding sense of self, sense of interdependence, rather than an obstacle to deal with, a setback to finding those things, or a deviation from the path of diving into yourself? How can the difficult lessons feel just as inviting as the joyous ones, or the sublime ones, or the easy ones? How can we feel them as an embrace as well? I think is the questions that I've been sitting with, um, and the just feelings I've been moving through for spring. So thank you all so much for listening to me today. I really, really appreciate it.